Mr Acting Deputy President. And I want to go back to the words of Gough Whitlam on the proclamation of the Racial Discrimination Act in 1975, when he said, and I quote, "There is nothing in the Constitution or any other document to entrench or even give expression to the rights of citizens and the democratic ideals on which our society is based. Unlike the US, we have no Bill of Rights. Unlike the US, our Constitution says nothing about civil liberties. There is a need to spell out in an enduring form the foundation principles of our civilisation, and in particular the principle that all Australians, whatever their colour, race or creed, are equal before the law and have the same basic rights and opportunities." End quote. And when Mr Kep Enderby moved the bill, he said, and I quote, "It should have happened many years ago. It should have happened years ago." The bill was a significant step in the development of policies and the promotion of human rights in Australia. Racial vilification and racial discrimination should not be contested in Australia, but sadly it is. For a country with a history of migration and for a country which is yet to fully reconcile, accept and respect that our First Peoples, our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, are still not recognised and are discriminated against in Australia. On a day when we celebrate the 800th anniversary of the Magna Carta, the WA Chief Justice Martin reminds us we fail to acknowledge that Aboriginal law is many thousands of years older than when the English earls and barons bailed up King John on the banks of the Thames near Runnymede. And if parliaments are the place which set the example, not only do we need more to do to reflect that in our elected representatives, our multicultural and Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, we must do it in the acts we debate in this place. The Racial Discrimination Act has been under attack by the Abbott government, who sought to repeal 18C of the Act. An overwhelming backlash in the community ensured this attack on the Act was dropped. But the record shows that the Conservatives have, since the Act was introduced in 1975, indeed they sought amendments which watered down the Act on its introduction, have tried to water it down and continue their attack over the last 40 years on this Act. And why is it that when there's a clear need for this Act in 2015, as there was in 1975, that Conservatives continue to attack this bill? The extraordinary outcry just a few weeks ago when Adam Goodes did a celebration dance, a recognition and respect of his culture, a tribute to the Boomerangs, an Indigenous youth program run by the AFL that many commentators thought it was outrageous and thought it was frightening. And anyone who watches that surely must see the delight on his face as he did that wonderful dance. It shows again that racial discrimination in our country continues, unfortunately, to be alive and well. And why is it that in the town of Geraldton, my 11-year-old Gidja granddaughter, on taking her into a shop, said to me, "I've been in this shop before and I don't like this shop." And I asked her why, and she told me when she went into that shop with her mother, a Gidja woman, that they were followed around. And when I asked Charlie, "Why was it that you were followed around by the owner of this shop?" and she said to me, as plain as anything, "Because I'm Aboriginal." That's the lesson that Australia has taught my 11-year-old granddaughter, and she learnt that a long time ago, long before she got to the tender age of 11. So the Racial Discrimination Act is a good act. We need it, and we need to enact those principles. We need to enact the principles in the parliament and in our everyday lives, because the Act in and of itself will not end discrimination. But on the 40th anniversary of this Act, I know, and many of my Labor colleagues know, that this Act is as needed today as it was 40 years ago, and I commend the Act to the Department and to the Parliament, and I will continue to defend its operation.